Once popular with children in the Victorian nursery, Who Killed Cock Robin is a strange and bizarre rhyme about a robin's brutal murder and the funeral arranged by the other birds. Unsurprisingly, this dark and unsettling tale has fallen out of favour in recent years, deemed unsuitable by modern-day parents. But what if I told you that beneath its simple verses lies a much darker secret, one that's been buried for centuries? Pagan rituals, political allegories, and deathly symbolism all lurk beneath the surface of this forgotten nursery rhyme. Stay with me as we uncover the hidden truths behind Who Killed Cock Robin, a rhyme far darker than you ever imagined. Welcome back, Darklings. First published in 1744, let's start by looking at its chilling verses. Who killed Cock Robin? I, said the sparrow, with my bow and arrow, I killed Cock Robin. Who saw him die? I, said the fly, with my little eye, I saw him die. Who caught his blood? I, said the fish, with my little dish, I caught his blood. Who'll make the shroud? I, said the beetle, with my thread and needle, I'll make the shroud. Who'll dig his grave? I, said the owl, with my pick and shovel, I'll dig his grave. Who'll be the parson? I, said the rook, with my little book, I'll be the parson. Who'll be the clerk? I, said the lark, if it's not in the dark, I'll be the clerk. Who'll carry the link? I, said the linnet, I'll fetch it in a minute, I'll carry the link. Who'll be chief mourner? I, said the dove, I mourn for my love, I'll be chief mourner. Who'll carry the coffin? I, said the kite, if it's not through the night, I'll carry the coffin. Who'll bear the pall? We, said the wren, both the cock and the hen, will bear the pall. Who'll sing a psalm? I, said the thrush, as she sat on a bush, I'll sing a psalm. Who'll toll the bell? I, said the bull, because I can pull, I'll toll the bell. All the birds of the air fell a sighing and a sobbing when they heard the bell toll for poor Cock Robin. A strange rhyme, but where did it come from, and what does it really mean? Let's start with an intriguing theory. Could Who Killed Cock Robin actually be a satire about the fall of Sir Robert Walpole in 1742? Walpole, often called the first Prime Minister of Britain, was once an untouchable political figure, but after a dramatic defeat in 1742, he was forced to resign, becoming a subject of mockery. Who Killed Cock Robin first appeared in print shortly after Walpole's fall. Coincidence? Or could the robin in the rhyme actually be a symbolic nod to Robert Walpole himself? During the 1730s, Robert Walpole's political dominance became so well known that his system of government was dubbed the Robinocracy. Robin was a common nickname for Robert, and this term was coined by critics who saw Walpole's rule as one of unchallenged power. It was a mocking way of highlighting how Walpole, like a puppet master, controlled the British political scene through family ties and favours. But the mystery doesn't end there. There's evidence this rhyme may have been in circulation long before Walpole's fall. In fact, some link it to ancient pagan rituals. Let's dive deeper into the evidence. While Who Killed Cock Robin might seem like a product of the 18th century, there's evidence suggesting the rhyme could be much older. First, let's look at the rhyme itself. The verse about the owl and shovel doesn't rhyme in modern English, but it does in Middle English. In the 1400s, shovel was pronounced more like showl, which means the rhyme worked perfectly at the time. There's also a 15th century stained glass panel from Buckland Rectory in Gloucestershire that depicts a robin pierced by an arrow, an image shockingly similar to the one described in the rhyme. This suggests that the motif of a bird being shot with an arrow was already part of English folklore long before the rhyme was ever printed. But the evidence doesn't stop there. In 1460, a fragment of verse attributed to Thomas Short, a schoolmaster of the time, contains lines about a sparrow shooting an arrow. And if that wasn't enough, John Skelton's poem, written around 1508, shares a similar theme, focusing on the mourning of a dead bird. On the surface, Philip's sparrow appears to be a simple expression of grief, but it also serves as a subtle critique of the church's funeral rituals. Skelton uses the same formal ceremonial tone found in liturgies for the dead, applying it to the death of a bird. This highlights the absurdity of turning such a trivial event into a grand, solemn occasion. Sound familiar? These discoveries tell us that the rhyme's themes are likely much older than we ever imagined, and may hold secrets rooted in ancient folklore and tradition. One of the most intriguing theories links Cock Robin to an ancient custom known as Wren Day, still observed in parts of Ireland and the Isle of Man. On the 26th of December, St. Stephen's Day, a wren was traditionally hunted by men and boys, who would display the slain bird on a staff decorated with holly, ivy and ribbons, or sometimes in a decorated box on top of a pole. This symbolic sacrifice was part of a larger ritual that involved a procession of wren boys, dressed in straw masks, greenery and colourful costumes, who paraded around the village singing and playing music in exchange for donations. The procession was believed to bring prosperity for the year ahead. But it gets more intriguing. After the bird was paraded, in some places it was given a funeral, much like the robin in Who Killed Cock Robin. It's believed this tradition of hunting the wren evolved out of Celtic paganism. The traditional folk songs sung during the hunt, such as the Cutty Wren and its variants, describe the wren as the king of the birds. The idea is that the wren, therefore, symbolically represents a sacred king who was ritually sacrificed in ancient Celtic pagan practices. This ties to the belief that in many ancient cultures a king was chosen to rule for a time, and at the end of his reign he was sacrificed to ensure the renewal of life, fertility, and the prosperity of the land. Archaeological discoveries of bog bodies may offer a glimpse into these ancient rites. Many of these perfectly preserved remains show signs of ritual killing, and intriguingly, some were found alongside items that hint at a royal or priestly status. In fact, the Irish word for wren, drehalin, translates to druid bird, the druids being the wise keepers of knowledge in Celtic tradition. The druids believed wrens were symbolically tied to the old year, while the robin came to represent the new year. The robin's bright red breast echoed the return of the sun, bringing with it the promise of renewal and fertility. And this is where Who Killed Cock Robin may carry echoes of these ancient rites. It could be a distant folk memory of these old sacrificial traditions where the death of the bird symbolised the death of the old year. But some believe the rhyme may carry even older and far stranger echoes. Folklorists have drawn comparisons between Cock Robin and the death of Balder in Norse mythology, the god of light and purity. Balder was slain by a dart of mistletoe, guided by the trickster god Loki. And just as the nursery rhyme depicts the creatures of nature mourning Cock Robin, so too did Norse myths describe nature itself grieving for Balder, the trees, the animals, even the stones of the earth sharing in the sorrow. But it's important to note that these pagan and mythological theories, while fascinating, are largely speculative. They arise from symbolic parallels rather than concrete historical evidence. Still, the connections are compelling and suggest that this rhyme may be more than just a children's tale. But while the connection to ancient myths is fascinating, there's another theory that brings us much closer to history. Could Who Killed Cock Robin actually be referencing the real-life assassination of King William II of England? William II of England, known as William Rufus, derived from the Latin word for red, likely referencing his reddish hair or complexion, would see his death become as notorious as his reign. In 1100, during a hunting trip in the New Forest, King William II was struck by an arrow. His sudden death, shrouded in mystery, has sparked debate for centuries. Was it an accident, or was it murder? The man widely believed to have fired the fatal arrow was Walter Tyrrell, a nobleman present at the hunt. Tyrrell fled to France soon after, deepening suspicions about his role. While most historians think it was an accident, others speculate that Tyrrell may have intentionally killed the king. Others question whether Tyrrell was involved at all, and this is where Who Killed Cock Robin gets truly intriguing. Some theorise that the rhyme might actually be telling us about the true identity of the king's killer. The sparrow in the rhyme, who confesses to the murder, could be a coded message pointing to a different assassin, someone whose identity has yet to be uncovered in history. But the story of Who Killed Cock Robin doesn't stop with the mystery of a medieval king's death. The rhyme takes a fascinating twist in the Victorian era. In the 19th century, robins were increasingly seen as symbols of innocence, loss, and unrequited love. The Victorian obsession with death and mourning seeped into every part of life, including Christmas cards, where the image of a dead robin grew in popularity. The robin's death resonated deeply with a society that was fixated on the fragility of life, and the bird became a potent symbol in the growing interest in mourning rituals and memorialization. The robin's symbolism also took on a religious dimension during this period. Its red breast, often seen as a sign of sacrifice, was linked to Christ's crucifixion, symbolizing the blood of Christ shed for salvation. The rhyme itself evolved during this time, notably with the bell ringer. Originally depicted as a bullfinch, it was shortened and became a literal bull. A darker variant also emerged in the 19th century, with the sequel poem The Trial of the Sparrow for Killing Cock Robin. In this version, the sparrow is put on trial and hanged for the murder. But the image of the robin shot by an arrow was a metaphor with deep symbolic meaning long before the Victorians. In many cultures, a bird struck by an arrow has been seen as a warning of pride or the consequences of ambition. This symbolism is echoed in ancient Greek fables, like the eagle wounded by an arrow. In this fable, the eagle realizes that the arrow which inflicted its injury was made from its own feathers. The moral? That the eagle's pride, its overconfidence, led to its own downfall. Interestingly, the theme of a bird's death and its mourning can be found in folk tales too. One well-known story, The Death of Little Hen, collected by the brothers Grimm, tells of a bird's funeral, where the animals attempt to bury their deceased friend, but by strange twists of fate each one tragically dies in turn. This tale, much like Who Killed Cock Robin, highlights the inevitability of death and the rituals of mourning surrounding it. And then there's the possibility that Cock Robin is connected to the legend of Robin Hood. In Robin Hood's death, the outlaw meets a strangely ritualised end. He's betrayed by his cousin, the Prioress of Kirklees, who drains too much blood while treating him. And in some versions, he's also stabbed by his enemy, Red Roger. According to legend, with his final strength, Robin fires one last arrow and asks to be buried where it lands. Today, a monument known as Robin Hood's grave marks the spot. Some believe Who Killed Cock Robin may have evolved from this very story, preserving the echoes of Robin Hood's death in nursery rhyme form. But what do you think? Of course, the secrets hiding in our nursery rhymes don't end there. Because what if I told you that Rub-a-Dub-Dub, that innocent little rhyme about 3 men in a tub, may actually hide a far more scandalous and unsettling origin? You can uncover that story right here. Click to watch it now. See you in a future video.